Check, check, mic check. We are live in 3, 2, 1. Boom!
Wow, that was pretty loud.
That was very, very
I'm
loud.
hyped for this episode, baby! Episode number 5. Keep it live. Break free worldwide.
With our special guest, Palm Skillet.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, dog?
What's up, man?
What's the deal?
Hey, this is gonna be good. I feel it. I've been feeling it in my soul all day long.
What are you? No,
Wait,
no.
wait. What are you guys doing?
This is a little icebreaker for y'all.
What's up, big bro?
What's up, man?
What's going down?
Oh, man.
Let's get straight into it. Who's whack?
Oh, man.
No, hold on. Let's try to do this right.
There's a lot of people
Okay.
that's whack, though.
We'll get to that in a second, but listen, man, we brought you on the show.
Yeah.
You know, I know that you and your brother do the lunch breaks, kind of live
yeah.
stream that you
They
guys
know
do on
about that.
Instagram every single day. You
We don't
come
need
over
to
here
explain
lunch.
that. They know about that.
I know. I'm going somewhere with this, all right?
People that don't know, bro.
So-
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, you're always real. You're always keeping it 100.
Yes, sir.
1,000 a brick.
We need you to do the same thing today. So we're gonna talk
Oh, no
about
question, baby.
everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
Wait, okay. I know we broke the ice, but we break a little bit more ice. This is the first time on the podcast we're gonna do this, but we brought a gift.
That's right.
We brought gifts.
Well, we've given gifts before, like break-free gear,
Yeah.
CYE lifestyle gear, but we
But-
got a special gift for you, bro.
Make no doubt about it. If there was any ice remaining on the surface, baby, it's about to be scraped off. Because we really thought about this, and we thought about what we could get you.
Money?
Nah, player.
No. Chill.
That might be episode 55, not episode 5. You feel me? Shout out to our sponsors, Monster Energy. Bing. So, yeah. First things first. You ready for this?
Is it a gift?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's been under this desk this whole time.
Oh, damn, I'm right here, too.
All right,
Sometimes,
you ready?
Sometimes your blessings are right in front of
You
you.
don't even know.
Wait.
Underneath your nose,
Ready?
bro.
5, 4,
Kind of scared.
3, 2, 1.
Oh! Dang, I feel like I'm at home, bro.
Wait.
You know what's going on? What?
That's not it.
Well, let them enjoy the first one first. Just show the people what it is.
Shout out to Cheetos. Been fueling me since I was, what,
Yeah.
5?
Yeah.
Wait. They've been fueling you, but not us.
Yeah, wait. But
Man.
let's before we go into the other gift though. No, put them on your lap. What you doing, bro?
Bro, let me live my life, bro.
You had gum?
Yeah, I had gum on my-
Where you putting the gum?
On top of my iPhone.
So, alright, the Cheetos is good. It breaks the ice, but let's talk about the Cheetos for a second, okay? Because people like to talk about their influences, how they influence. If y'all don't know my brother, how long you been dancing, bro? Tell him.
No.
In between your Cheetos.
Next month marks 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah, I was eating the other day. I was thinking, I was like, dang, doing anything for 20 years is a long time. So, shout out to me.
Yeah, shout out to you on the real. So, if you could name like your biggest influences dance, would Cheetos be up there alongside like Ken Swift and Jeremy?
Definitely. 100.
So
Interesting.
who's number 1?
I don't know, man.
All right. Well, if you're just joining us,
If you're just joining us, we got special guest Palmer from Havoc Coral, the Cheeto Man, ready to kick some extra for you guys.
yeah, we'll save the other gift for later if he deserves it. If he does good,
Yeah.
then we'll give him that.
Yo, so going right into what we wanted to talk about first is today's kind of like breaking world. I know you said you've been you're about to turn 20 years in the breaking scene. That's a long time. So
You ain't
I'm
even
sure
you ain't a grown man in the scene.
I'm sure you've seen breaking change competitively throughout the years.
Yes.
What is your take on it today? You know, because I feel like a lot of people watch you when you break and you know, excuse me for saying this, but I don't know. I don't think that they know what the hell they're looking at when you break.
Yeah.
Because like you're one of
what
the
they look like.
you're one of the very few b-boys today that I think that carries a very original style and an artistry of movement.
Yeah.
You know, and I know I'm being serious. I know we want to have fun, but I'm being dead serious when I say this. And I don't think that, you know, judges or b-boys out there appreciate what you bring to the floor.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because today I feel like a lot of b-boys and b-girls looking the same. So like,
Yeah.
what's your take on it? How do you feel? How does it make you feel when you enter some of these huge competitions and you lose first round, second round, or whatever?
Oh, why'd you have to throw that?
No,
Why'd you have to throw that in
I
there?
don't know. I'm
that's
being
the-
real.
It's true.
I'm
It's
being
true.
real.
Yeah, we lose. Yeah.
So
I lost first round too.
when I got into it, which was 20 years ago, like I said, man, like one of the big reasons I got into it was like what drove me and what I think drives a lot of the core, like you could put that in quotes, the core b-boys is pure respect, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to, you know, I wanted to show my friends, you know, what I could bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? My uniqueness to this, because I think that that's what the beauty of breaking is, man, is like taking something that's there, making it better, and then giving it back. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's like a two-step or a six-step or something, or a CC, like, you know, just the different ways some people rock it is what inspires me and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like it can be done so many different ways, and you know that respect that I get from people is really what drives me and everything. And sometimes I feel like that is missing from a lot of the younger generation coming into this, you know? And, you know, it's like you said, a lot of them are starting to look the same and everything, and you start to think about, like, why? Like, why is that, you know? Like, and I think it's because the context drives the content. You know what I'm saying?
And I ask you because, like, out of everybody that I follow, or just kind of just watching the b-boy scene just continue to grow, I think I have to say this, that you probably practice the most out of everybody that I know.
Yeah,
You
sure.
practice more than anybody.
Yeah,
And I think that a lot of people haven't really
To-
just felt Palmer. Like, I don't think anybody has battled you to a level to where they've gotten the full you.
Yeah,
Because-
it's happened a couple of times, but like on the underground tip,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But going, yeah, definitely, I agree with what you say and everything. And to go back to what I said, like, I think, you know, context drives the content. So if you look at some of the way these jams are set up, of course the content that's going to be poured out of them is going to be the way it is.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have this big floor that separates us, but we don't ever get down like that. Like, do
Yeah.
you ever get down like that? Like, when you're practicing? Like, do
Hey,
you,
go stand over there.
like, yeah, go, like, you go get
Nah,
down over there,
further.
like, you know what I'm saying?
Step back.
It's never like that, man. So it's not like, so the essence of it is already, you know, being taken away a little bit.
So
know what I'm saying?
you feel like when you enter these competitions, like as soon as you step on these gigantic stages or floors, like you feel like immediately the essence of what
Yeah,
drove you to do
definitely,
this, like
definitely.
it's stripped away immediately?
What?
Or you think
That is a
judges
dri-
strip it away?
That is a factor that plays into it. And I'll give you an example too. Like at freestyle session, you know, it was the big room and everything. You know, like, you know, that's where the competition happens. And the overall vibe of everything is that that's what it is. That's what everybody's there for. Now in the room right next to it, you had the top rock room and then the funk room. It was night and day. You go in there,
Mhm.
it's night and day, the vibe. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I'm not saying that other vibe is doesn't have its place. You know what I'm saying? But b-boys like me aren't gonna shine in that a lot of the times, man, because like I said, the context drives the content and
Yes.
everything. And so it's like I went into the top rock room and I was like, dang, I wish I would have been in here the whole time. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And like there's two things, and it's like I feel like these big competitions, going back to what you said, you know, about, you know, b-boys looking the same and everything. It's like, you know, popularity and media, what the media pushes out, causes these b-boys to focus on big moves and precision, right?
Mhm.
When you go back to what I said, the core b-boys that are really pushing ideas and everything, what drives them is us getting respect from each other and innovating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's more, me personally, I think it's more of an art than a sport. And like, I wish that, like, I don't have no problem, like, with them calling us athletes. Like, why can't you, like, put it, like, call us, like, creative athletes?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, or creative athletics or something like that.
You're mad right now.
You know what I'm saying?
Why are you mad?
You know, like, why like, why couldn't they call it something like that or something like that? You know what I'm saying?
So you said you feel like you're not gonna shine on there, but I yes and no. I have to say yes and no. I get where you're coming from, but I think a lot of people do see you, and a lot of people give you respect. Like, dang, you killed it.
No, yeah,
right?
sure.
It's not that person who's sitting on the judging panel,
but
though.
there are those few that do appreciate your style, but most of the time, well, maybe 99% of the time, it's not the people sitting on the judges panel.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
But you want to know why? I can think about it, because me and him growing up and me basing my style, I wouldn't say my style, my approach to this dance off of my brother's approach to this dance. So I think him and I share the same approach. And I think everyone's approach should be different. And I think when people talk about people looking the same,
Yeah.
I think it starts with the approach. So when people approach this dance, and you hear this word a lot, but to break it down, in my eyes, what I think approach is, it's like what you're trying to say. What you're trying to say and how you come out onto the floor every single time to the music, and what's the first thing that you're prioritizing, what's in your mind. And along with Moy, along with John, Kirk, you know, my teachers, and everyone have a choral. But with you and I the most in our approach, it's like, I don't know how to say it, but it's like the music is first of all. You know what I mean? And it's like we don't care what we look like. Like, we're not trying to. It sounds counter like productive, or it sounds like this might contradictory. It might sound weird to some people, but like I can say it for you, and this is the way you taught me. Like, I don't care at all how I look or how I'm presenting myself. So that might fall in line with like bad form, and I've heard this before that I have bad form. Like, I've heard that sometimes before. But like that's our approach. Like, it's that we're breaking to the point of what I feel the essence of the word breaking means. It's like I'm pouring something out. I'm saying something. I'm feeling this music, and what you're seeing is exactly what I'm feeling. And that's what's being said, first of all. And I think that's what you do when you go out, and I think that's what you do when you go out. More specifically with us two and how we approach it is something that I've always think is way different than what a lot of people in this dance, especially the people who are sitting up on that judging panel, can even begin to relate to or even like or appreciate.
Yeah, like I'll speak on me. Like, even when I battle today, I personally feel, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything, but I always feel like I do something way different. Like, I bring my original style where I'm battling people that are doing.
You did push-ups. You did plyo push-ups out of nowhere, explosively on beat, like. You know what I'm saying?
And that was a response to the kid making fun of me, you know, because I work out or whatever.
And you did it on beat, boom, 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 boom in his face, like.
But that's the thing is, like, we come from a different era, but I feel like that should still be a factor in today's competitions and judging, because, like, again, if I bring me, like, my own style, and then the guy is doing what everybody else is doing, but yeah, maybe he was more dynamic than me. Maybe he did 10 more seconds than I did.
Yeah.
Right? But what I did, nobody else did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you judge that? And so that's something.
There's no value for that.
Yeah. It used to bother me before, but now it doesn't. I'm a bit older. It just doesn't. I don't let it get to me, right? But like, when I see it from an outside standpoint, and I'm watching these battles, I can see those who stand out, and that's why it bothers me if I'm watching you break and you don't get through, and I'm just like, how'd you lose that round?
Yeah.
Because this guy just did everything. Actually, what he did, I did it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But no one's calling, like, I don't know if the judges are saying, hey, well, this comes from this or whatever, and I'm the last person to call anybody a biter. If people want to do it, go ahead. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I just ain't got no time to call you a biter, because I ain't tripping on it. But what I am trying to say is, when is originality going to be appreciated?
Yeah.
When is originality going to be appreciated? You know what I mean? Because I see kind of like a formula, right? And I hate to even use that, but I kind of see where the B-boys come out, the B-girls come out, and they do a little bit of power moves, a little bit of footwork, and then they all do the footwork into an air baby or something like that. But Doug, have people forgot that I was, like me personally, I was doing one-handed air baby twists and stuff like that.
So
1999, 2000, 2001.
People in Texas were innovating stuff.
You know,
like
one
that.
of the very few to do continuous air flares back in the days, along with, you know, certain big names that were doing it at the time. But like all this stuff is like, does it matter today? I don't care if it does. I'm at to a point on a competition level where it's like I'm still gonna battle no matter what and do what I do, and I don't care what people think or how they judge me. It is what it is. It used to bother me, but it doesn't bother me anymore. But it does bother me when I see such a creative influence on the floor, a style that needs to be appreciated and is not appreciated. You know, because I think it's easy to look at you and just say, well, you know, well, Palmer's style doesn't fit this. Well, who are you to say his style doesn't fit this? Yeah. His style is an original style. You know what I mean? Like, how does it make you feel? Because you're still competing, but I'm sure every time you finish a competition or finish a battle and you don't go through, I'm sure in some place inside you, it's discouraging.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? Because it does it for everybody.
You got that little voice inside your head that's like...
What's it say?
Because it's like, what did I say to earlier? Like, you know, it's about peer respect, and a lot of people won't admit that, but that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so, for somebody like that you've looked up to and you've seen videos of for 20 years, you know, like you see those scores up on there, and you're like, wow, like it's that much of a disparity. Like, am I like, the way I'm?
Am I that bad?
Like, yeah, am I that bad? Or it's not. That I don't think that I know I'm good. I believe in myself. I know the value. I know the value that I bring and everything. But it's just like, damn, like he's not seeing it the same way. He's not respecting what I'm bringing to the table and everything. And yeah, it makes you feel bad and everything, and it makes you and it makes you question things. And it's like, yo, but at the end of the day, like I'm outside of the box and everything, and I'm trying to push ideas. Now, I'm trying to, you know, bring something to the table that will last in this culture. You know what I'm saying? And like, what makes me mad is when judges are up there, and they've been doing this for a long time, right? But at the same time, they haven't been involved in it like the way some people have. For a long time, this is 2 decades now I've been involved in it, so I know what I'm talking about. I've been a geek for this for so long, like. But yet, I don't see a lot of those people like up there in those big judging big competitions. One, because I think a lot of them are still competing, but I do think more people from my generation should be up there because they know the evolution that the dance has gone through. They know what it's like to be up there on that stage and have those lights on you and still have to perform your stuff and still have to execute who you are and everything, you know?
I think
they know what it feels like, and then they know where things come from and everything, you know? And like they know that okay, well this came from there, but you know what? He did add something to it and everything.
I think what you're saying is some of these OG B-boys from the 80s and 90s that are judging nowadays and judging a lot, they've never entered a modern day competition, and they can't relate.
How are they gonna know? How are they gonna know? Like you can sit there and you can watch all the time, but still you don't know what it feels like to be up there. You don't have the experience of that. So a good example I'll give is that at Silverback, Nairume was a judge, right? And she's been doing this for a long time too, and she's been competing, and she's competing at a high level.
Right.
And she's a fan. She's a geek.
Yeah, she's a geek for this.
She loves it.
You know, she's a geek for it, right? She loves it. If you look at her judging scores to some of the other people, it was way different.
Oh, they got
way
a battle
different. You know what I'm saying? Like, and why is that? You got to sit there and you got to think, why is that?
So look, check it out. This is dope. Shout out to Josh, MVP. Put up our battle.
Producer.
Word.
Can you go to the beginning? I just want to commentate on this real quick. Go to is this from Instagram? Oh, this is your round, huh?
Yes, sir. Whoop, wop, chop it in half.
Yeah, explain it.
Wop, wop, chop it in half. Whoop. And then I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to say, oh, shoot, what? Head, shoulders, knees, and head. They don't even know what's up. That wop, swoop, 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 ender. scissor it up. Oh.
Look at, he said yawn. Go to the beginning again. I want to see the beginning. With the other guy.
Judges weren't, and I get that respect.
Judges weren't feeling that.
I get that respect clap too. It's like,
Yeah, good job.
nobody was saying.
I want to point something out though. Look in the beginning.
Nobody was saying
Hold
anything
on.
in my round, and then there was just
Look at the beginning.
A long clap.
Look at the beginning. So look what he does immediately. The guy in the red. So he's on the floor.
Haven't done.
I think that's funny. So I when b-boys do this on the side, it's funny. What they're saying is this is how they view your style.
Yeah.
It's a caricature of your style. So in his eyes, when he's watching and Palmer's going, all he thinks that this guy is doing is threading, and he's going. So they think that all you're doing is just threading and moving your head around and going crazy.
Yeah.
And for me, that's always funny. And when people make fun of me, they'll go like this.
And then for me, it's like a workout
Or a
thing.
push-up, yeah. It's a caricature. They make a caricature of you, but for me, that says a lot. It says to me.
You're
that
watching me closely.
Well, they are. No, they're watching. They're watching you closely, but not close enough. They're watching you for what's on the surface level.
Yeah.
They're not digging deep. And I think, I would hate to say it, I would bet my money that how he views you, some of those OG b-boys that sit up on there, they probably view you in the same way.
Exactly.
And that sounds bad, but I would, like.
But it may be the truth.
It's a caricature, like.
Or it is the truth. Who
Threads. Or like, and this kind of goes into another. I think we can segue into like how things are nowadays when it comes to this, but like how things are valued and how things are categorized, and like when people come up to me and like say that I'm a thread b-boy or flexible, or they might consider you a thread b-boy or flexible b-boy. Like when people try to box people in like this, you know what I'm saying? Like I think that's one of the and this kind of ties in with the judging system nowadays and all these systems that are popping up and the war of the judging systems, and this system is about, no, you should judge it this way, but for me it's like, man, people get it so twisted, and this is where like, this is when people talk about like the state of the scene nowadays and how there's a generic style and the formula that we talked about, this is and execution and foundation. And well, can I just ask you, did you hear the word execution at all in the 90s?
No. No.
Execution,
No.
or even in the early 2000s.
We would just say finish clean.
So this is a new, like.
I mean, even though it's a form of, execution.
And-
But
and don't, but let me say this.
Even the word training.
Yeah.
Even the word.
Yeah.
It was just
Well,
practice.
let me say this. This is not to say that you shouldn't be clean. It's not to say that,
No.
But this you need to take a step back and say, what the hell does this even mean? What we joked about this the other day. What the hell does transitions mean? Like what is? Oh, you got dope transitions, bro. You got dope texts. You got dope. What does this even mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's people's attempts.
You know what people tell me that?
It's
You know what?
it's people's attempts, and this is how the world is nowadays. But especially in break, like I like to view breaking as something that should be different from the rest of the world. When I break, it's my escape. Create your escape. It's my escape from the world. But more often than not, the problems that exist in modern society and people's and overall groupthink of people, they leak over into the breaking scene, the culture a lot. And I think people, no matter how much people try to say that breaking is about originality and artistry and da-da-da, people box it in so much, and they try to label you or label your moves and box it in so much that that's why we're in a state where it's not artistic anymore.
People box it in, label it because they got nothing else to do. That justifies how much better they think they are to them by boxing and labeling someone, and that's what gets them through their day, which is absolutely stupid, right? And then another thing that I don't agree with is when people say, "Well, he's a competition b-boy, he's a cypher b-boy." You're either a b-boy or a b-girl. That's it. You can get down. You can get down wherever.
How many times?
Right?
How many
You can
times?
get down wherever,
How many
right?
times have we been told before? If this was a cipher, y'all would have won.
Yeah.
This is a competition.
And then there's this, right? They go to that. They know who they lost to, and they don't call them out or they don't do anything like that.
Yeah.
Or they'll say, I can't wait to see them in the competition. Like, I can't stand that. You know what I mean? I can't stand that. And I feel like the breaking scene, yes, it's involved, and I love the competitions. I love where they're going because it creates a good platform for entertainment, right?
Yes.
For spectators. And that's the only way the scene will continue to grow, is as long as we get to pull in this general public. But what I don't like is people still keeping it raw and authentic. Like, you got to learn how to find this balance of both. Appreciate it. You got to be a fan of it all. You got to be a fan of it all, and I think that people only appreciate what they want to appreciate, and that's totally fine. But at the same time, you got to find a balance.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're gonna find yourself hating on everybody, right? We can sit here and clown anybody we want, right?
We're good at it too.
For whatever reason, but we're not, or we might.
So for the for the balance, I think you're totally right, man. Like I've always said, and more recently too, like reading and everything. Like, so for me, like,
you read?
Yeah, I read sometimes. So the balance, going back to the balance, like I think it's about like your head and your heart, right? And I think a lot of the b-boys today are in their head. It's all about, you know, precision. It's all about, you know, being calculated and everything. But a lot of the heart isn't there too. And I think that there needs to be a good mixture of both for a b-boy to really shine in all areas. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, I don't have no problems with these competitions and everything. But sometimes, just like the way it's represented and everything, even going back to the simple fact of like how far away you're standing from each other, like why wouldn't it look so much better if there was like people crowded, like footage I'm used to seeing, like the old freestyle sessions with the blue floor and everything, like that looks way hyper.
Yeah, you can't get all the floor decals.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
can't fit all the floor decals. That's not gonna work, Palmer.
But it's true though, man. Like, you know, like what are you sacrificing? What are you sacrificing to have those decals on there? You're sacrificing legendary moments. That's what you're sacrificing. You know?
can still have decals.
Exactly. You can still have
You
them.
can still have whatever you want to have.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that there's no place for any of that. Yeah, you can have it, but just try and think of an innovative way to make it happen. And that's what discourages me sometimes.
I
It's
think
like
that's
these people are throwing their jams and like it's the same formula over and over again. Why aren't y'all trying something like new? Like instead, like I'm pretty sure like if you've been throwing a jam for a long time, you've seen the footage. You were there at the jam, so like. Why not try and implement little things like that again? You know what I'm saying? Just have the circle around it. Let's do it. Let's try it. Whatever. You know?
Yeah. It could be attributed, I think, to, and I'll be blunt, I just think it's laziness. I think on both sides, on promoter sides and on b-boy sides, it's mental laziness. Not to say that b-boys don't work hard, promoters don't work hard. Y'all do. It's just that mentally, you're not really... Going back to approach, you're not approaching the jam, you're not approaching around and thinking, what can I do to make this different? What can I do to make this different? What can I do to push the culture forward?
Yeah.
What can I do to push this culture forward and make it enjoyable? Make it enjoyable for the dancers and the spectators and have
Spectator.
spectators.
Potato.
The spectators.
Tomato, tomato.
The spectators need to enjoy. So they need to make it enjoyable.
They need to.
He went to the...
Make it enjoyable.
He just went rushing on us.
You guys just characterized myself. All right. So to make it enjoyable for everybody, but to just make things better and push the culture forward. I'm done. Peace. Bye.
Man. Yo, I don't know. Like, I'm getting to a point too where I just want to start speaking up more. You know, and I think that's why the podcast is a great platform, because it allows everybody to hear it. Because I'm not gonna get on Facebook and rant. I'm not gonna get on Instagram and rant. But I'll talk about it here and I'll be real. So what I was gonna say is, again, the competitions are great, right?
Yeah.
Wherever it's going, hopefully it's for the best, right? Because that's what we all believe, or what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
As long as we in it.
But at the same time, I think everyone, judges, the talent, the spectators, or organizers, promoters, everyone needs to sit back and reevaluate. Like when events happen, I wonder if promoters go back. Let's go back and let's see what we could do different. Let's see what we could do better. I think it's talked about, but I don't think it's really implemented.
Yeah.
Because it's important to give the scene what it wants, right? And that's hard to fulfill, but at the same time, like, you gotta try.
Yeah.
But like you said, right now it's the same formula.
Yeah.
Every event is exactly the same.
Yeah, for sure.
I will shout out Freestyle Session, because Freestyle Session, does do the other room with the funk, the top rocking, the popping, and all the other styles that they do, which is dope, because it allows other people to get involved. But at the same time, right now it's just like competition, and I'm all about it. But at the same time, it's like, what is it that these other guys want? These other guys that are complaining about it's too much competition, right? If we're doing a big event, there needs to be a balance. We need to find a way to give them everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can be like, well, we don't have to give them everything. We don't have to. But I think in some sense, you got to really try to hear what the community is saying.
Definitely.
You know?
It's like, I think a lot of people say, well, why don't you throw your own jam? Or why don't you do this? It's like, you know, that's like a cop-out sometimes, you know what I'm saying? When somebody's really just trying to have, you know, discourse about, like, have a conversation, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's coming, like, when I say these things too, man, I don't want people to get it twisted. Like, it's coming from, a good place, man. It really is. Like, sometimes I might sound like I'm angry or, you know, be passionate about it, but, like, I want to see this culture uplifted to, you know, its highest level, you know? And, you know, I just wish more people would, you know, think critically and, you know, try and see other people's, you know, sides to it and everything. Because like you said, like, I wish I would, like, I've gone to 2 big jams, you know, Silverback and Freestyle Session this, you know, past month and everything. And, you know, not to say that, you know, there weren't dope jams or anything like that, but, like, it's just that I didn't.
But did they give you that vibe? Okay.
No,
no. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
So, I see you post clips all the time in y'all's garage.
Yeah.
Training.
Yeah.
And you can see and feel what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do these past 2 events, right? And not to knock them at all, right?
Yeah.
But I want Palmer's honest take on it. Like,
Yeah.
did they give you that same feeling that when you go out there and you're just kind of just exploring yourself and whatever happens, happens?
No.
Did they give you that same vibe?
No, definitely.
Why do you think that it doesn't give you that vibe? Why?
Because going back to what I said earlier, you know.
Because I feel like
context,
jams should do that.
Yeah.
Like it should really set a different fire for us.
It's not enjoyable.
Context
We talked about
creates
this.
content. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
everything, the stop in the music, the way everything is set up and everything, the vibe of people. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're there for a certain reason. How many dope b-boys are at a jam that are freaking unbelievable, but none of them ever battle like a real battle. Like, never.
Yeah.
The last battle that I could think of that really went down like that, and you know, was me and Jeremy when we battled Flo and Rainin at Break Free and everything. It went on for like an hour. Like,
Yeah,
Tell- hey,
you know what I'm saying?
y'all cost me $275.
Yeah, tell the story of
Shout
that.
out to Moy. Shout
No,
out to
tell the
Moy.
story of that. Tell the story of that.
Man, I got heated after a battle because I thought me and you won, and I threw my water
It was
bottle.
against in the semifinal. It was against Dom Key and Gravity.
It was against Dom King
Dom
Gravity.
Key and Gravity. So
we
we went to
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker,
Yeah.
and we lost. It was Flowmaster, Rainin, and Venom. Venom voted for us, and then Flo and Rainin voted against us.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember as soon as the judge's decision happened, he threw your water bottle to the roof. He said, "Bullshit!" Boom! And then he went straight to the corner of the
Yeah.
jam. And I went with you too. And I ain't gonna lie, at that time I was young and I was mad too. But I was trying to make a change. Moy always tell me around that time, hey, you gotta keep it calm. It's not about, you know, rob. You got robbed. I got robbed. Blah, 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 blah. So I was really trying to make a change. And I was like, man, damn. I was heated. But you were getting me more crunk because you didn't give a damn and you were just going off. And I remember you just went to the back of the gym and you were just pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
Pacing back and forth. F it. I'm gonna call these fools out. Are you
Yeah.
down? Like, you were talking like that. I'm like, I got you. I'm right here. And then, like, your energy and your angerness made everyone gravitate towards you because they know that that's what was gonna happen.
Yeah, and I remember being on stage and I'm like, we have one more battle to do. We have the final battle to do.
Mhm.
We were on a break, right?
Yeah.
And I remember Adrian, my partner at the time doing the Break Free event,
Mhm.
was like, hey, we got to do the battle because we have the venue till this time. We have
Yeah.
the venue till this time. And I remember even Renegade was DJing and he was like, you want me to stop the music? And I said, I can't do that,
Yeah,
bro.
so he was in the corner
Oh,
and
no.
Flo.
People, hold on. People were telling me yo, you gotta stop that. We gotta get over this.
Yeah.
And then I had the security, the owner of the venue, come up to me and they're like, if you guys go over, another hour and a half, it's gonna be this much to
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't stop it. I feel I grew up in the hood, and I grew up like you can't snitch on your boys, and I felt like I was gonna snitch on somebody
Yeah.
by stopping something that was just true, authentic, and raw that was happening.
That's how legendary was.
I just couldn't stop it, and I was like, man, we'll pay for it.
So
whatever.
Flo came over and you called him out, and then I called out Rainin, and we went for 45 minutes to an hour, and it was like people talked about that for months after that, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Flo and Rainin.
At
the time,
wait, that footage is still on YouTube.
I think so.
Yeah.
It might be
I know.
private.
I don't know.
It took a long time for it to come out
long.
because there was this huge debate about it about don't release it, let it be for what it is. Everyone was saying that, like, it was such a legendary moment, and me and Palmer were like, nah, man, go ahead, release that.
Nah, man.
But shout out to Flo and Rainin, man.
Yeah, definitely, man.
It was crazy to about like.
Honestly,
I think it could have went longer. You know, you guys were just so into it. I think that at one point, I think Flo and Rainin were just like, they're not gonna stop.
We were zoning.
Yeah,
I had somebody.
they're not gonna stop.
Pookie told you and me. He said, I have never seen such a consistent display of breaking in my life.
Nuh-uh, Boogie said that?
Yeah, he told me. He told us that night of.
Dang, that's tight.
And but nothing like that has been. I'm not saying for like on the rest of this. There's been cipher battles and stuff like that, but like for me, that I haven't been engaged in anything like that in years.
And that's what I'm saying.
And
that's why I get disappointed because you have so many like of these
But let's go.
dope b-boys that sometimes have similar styles, and you want them to go up against each other, like really go up against each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have these b-boys that you see, and you're like, damn, that'd be dope if they went up against each other. Then they go into the competition, and it's 1 round or 2 round, and you don't really get a feel for
it's nothing.
like a real showmanship. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
people use those moments, like today, like if somebody meets, if you and I, right, meet in a competition and you smoke me, people will be like, wow, did you see Palmer smoke Moy? It's 1 round.
Exactly,
can you really say that?
Yeah.
Can you really say that?
People have no idea, man.
But they run with this.
Yeah,
they run with this.
Yeah.
Oh, I smoked this guy. I'm not gonna shout no people names because they don't deserve the credit. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, oh, I smoked this guy. I smoked that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not what breaking is. When you feel the impact of someone's true self is when you win.
yeah.
15,
And
20, 30
I guess
rounds.
that's why I sound mad sometimes.
Shout out to Little John.
And get super passionate about it because it's like, bro, like it's like a drug sometimes. Like, you know, like feeling that, like I can remember distinctly going to freestyle sessions, you know, b-boy summits, you know, break freeze even. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and having that feeling of wow, like this is amazing, this is special and everything, like, you know?
Yeah.
And not to say that they don't happen, and maybe I'm just old, or maybe I'm just nostalgic and all that, but like, it's like, bro, like, I want that again. I want the younger generation to experience that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for real.
going to, like, you know, seeing something like that, seeing, like, dudes go, like, 12 rounds, like, giving it all they got, like, all they got. I remember that's why I thought that, I think it was freestyle session.
Houston.
Texas. Yeah, Houston that y'all
Oh,
did that.
we did
Unlimited rounds.
Unlimited
Yeah,
rounds.
that was
People
such a
thought we
dope
were stupid
concept.
for that.
That was such a dope concept,
coming back.
though. You know what I'm saying?
Soon.
Because like people after the battle, because I battled Jeffro for 11 rounds, and I gave up. And I told myself before the battle, I was like, I'm not gonna give up. Yeah, I gave up, bro, because he does. No, but after
He won 11 rounds against Jeffro and then he quit.
No, I didn't win 11 rounds.
Put your
That was
gum
my
on the
gum
ball.
over there. I didn't win 11 rounds, but after the battle, people came up to me. They were like, "Bro, that was so dope because like it was like so many ups and downs in the battle. There was like at some points
Because it's an actual display of breaking.
Exactly.
It's an actual
There were like
display.
some points. They were like you would go over to the side and we'd be like we'd see you breathing hard and everything, but then you'd go in there and you'd start your top rock
You'd
kind of
surprise us
slow,
again.
and then you bring it up a notch and everything, and then they were like, "Dang, I wonder what he's gonna do next, or is he gonna be tired? Like, what's gonna happen?"
And that's a battle. That's,
know what I'm
It's an
saying?
honest feeling. It's like,
Exactly,
this is what I
man.
can give you this time. This is what
Exactly.
I can't give you this time. But
Exactly.
okay, I'm coming back. This is what I can give you this time.
I would like
It's
to
an
bring
honest
up.
feeling.
I would like to bring up Bleach Street League BSL that happened in the summer, and the final battle of Zeshin and Zeku, which was really controversial, and it really split people. People felt this way, felt that way, and it went 7 rounds. And I'll just say this, and I know Zeshin would even agree with this. The fact that Zeshin even had a chance against Zeku was because it was more than 1 and 2 rounds. And I know
Yeah.
Zeshin was like, if Zeshin goes against Zeku in a 1 or 2 round battle, Zeshin would even say it, like, there's no way. Like, it's going to be very, very hard because there's the type of styles that they have in it. But that's what the great, I call it the great equalizer. That's what equalizes everything and puts everyone on this, and it puts people, the style heads and the power heads, it puts them on the same play field. Because when you go 7 rounds, 8 rounds, 9 rounds, 10 rounds, there ain't no fun. And it puts like, okay, put your, and for me that was like one of the best battles I've seen in a long time, because Zeku was firing on all cylinders, Zeshin was firing on all cylinders, and it could have went, and it could have,
exactly. I was gonna say,
and it could have went either way, you know.
You know, people thought Zeku won, some people thought Zeshin won. Judges thought Zeshin won, but at the same time, it's like it was a perfect platform, a perfect event that said, what style did you like the best, and who rocked it the best right here, and for the judges, it was Zeshin.
And for what that says, and what that says to me, and people might not like this, but the way the competitive circuit is nowadays, and whatever judging system it is, it favors people with tricks, blow-ups, and power moves.
Definitely. That's
Like,
why
that's
why I don't stand a chance in those big competitions. That's why I said it, because it's like, it's so hard for me to fit into those boxes. Like,
I think with the exception of one person that I can think of right now, shout out to Menno. I think.
Oh shoot!
I think because I was telling Jeremy the other day that, you know, what's funny to me is that someone like you and your style, and not to say you guys have the same style, but it has a similar way of flow and movement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And then the way you get like not appreciated, but Menno gets appreciated. I'm just like, how does that happen? You know. So I was trying to kind of evaluate that and how it works. And I'm like, well, maybe Menno more dynamic. I don't know.
That'd be a crazy battle.
But Menno is really one of the very few also b-boys who've won many world titles and has this very fluent style and really holds his ground.
I think if Palmer was European, he'd be respected.
maybe
like if he was from Scandinavia, they're like, oh, that's Palmer from Scandinavia, but he's Palmer from Texas, so he doesn't really get that much pops.
And also maybe it's because they just don't see you enough. I feel like we get boxed in because we're not at every event. A lot of these b-boys are at all these events,
definitely.
And they get so used to seeing them that they're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I want to see more of. But like if you're just like, let's just say a random guy that comes here and there, then I feel like judges will sometimes look at that and be like, oh, he doesn't care too much about this competition. Let's vote for the other guy.
Yeah.
Maybe that plays. I don't know. I'm just trying to.
No,
I've been trying to
think
think
so
of
many layers to it.
Yeah,
bro,
I'm
you know
trying to think of every layer. I'm trying to figure it out because I don't get it.
Yeah, shout out to our live chat: Joe Garcia, Game Bread, Zeke, Pelon, Ray Trevino, Chris Martinez, Cosmo next door. Everyone, if you're watching, drop a comment, ask a question. We would love to answer it. What he's trying to say is this generation of b-boys is like this generation of rappers. Gay AF. Shout out Zeke.
But, like, what in one word, all right, describe competitive breaking today? Think about that.
Take your time.
One word, competitive breaking.
Hey, wait, I got it.
No, hold on.
Entertainment.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheesy.
One other word. Oh, that was good.
That would have been time.
One other
I
word.
wasn't quick on my feet right there, bro.
Describe breaking formulas.
Breaking formulas?
Yeah. Meaning.
What?
There you go. That's good.
What?
Excuse me. 3 words.
So, tying into that though,
You don't have to be that close.
I was one of the judges for the Zeku and the Zeshin battle, right? And like I said, that battle was.
What were you thinking?
It was really hard for me to judge. Really
Died.
hard for me to judge, man. Because like you said, Zeku, amazing. One of the top b-boys right now, always hitting on every aspect. You know, dynamic, quick. He has his own stuff too. You know, footwork, flow, freezes, all that. He's got everything, you know. You know, and he went up against Zeshin, and Zeshin was taking more of a battle, like like I'm gonna do this. Like it was sort of like a formula, you know. But Zeshan, like I know he didn't think about that before and everything. Like it was just
organic.
It was organic.
See,
and it was like
that's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You know?
So he was like using every round. He was using like a different part of his body, and he was making it look fresh and everything. You know. If he was judged on the judging system that's being implemented right now, no chance. Just like Jeremy said, you know. But it was super high level, like. And only certain people notice that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what I talk about.
If you go back and
the quote-unquote core b-boys and everything that are pushing ideas, pushing styles,
like
and bringing something to the table that the next generation can have and can keep and take it and make it better, and then, like, you know, keep doing that cycle and everything. You know what I'm saying?
If you go back and look at it, Zeshan, and the way he danced and his content, it looks nothing like anything he's ever done.
Ever? Yeah. No. I've never seen him do that in ciphers. I've never seen him.
Well, I think what Zeshan did is that he knew that he can't do what Zeku does.
Yes.
But he knew he can do what Zeku can't. Right? Or in his eyes,
and
right?
Put that on
for
display.
that moment. And he put it on display. You know?
I love that, man.
And
I think that's what b-boying is, bro.
And again,
you're doing, like, I'm gonna, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do something that you can't, like, because that's me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. Okay, and then so the judges felt like that is what won, right? Because we can easily say, well, Zeku won because he did a whole lot more, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was more of a feeling for you. It was more of a feeling. It was more of an organic response to what was happening at that moment. The display of breaking was far more free than it was.
Yes.
I'm trying to do all these other things, right?
And afterwards, I interviewed all the judges before about their perspectives on breaking and judging.
Yeah.
And you can see it right there.
Yeah.
Kareem, who voted for Zeku, he explained what he looks for when he judges. He looks for total package, dynamics, footwork, power moves, blah. Zeku had that. When I interviewed Palmer, he says he looks for people who digs deep. He looks for people who digs deep. He looks for feeling. He looks for things beyond those elements of execution dynamic, and that explains everything perfectly. You know,
that's probably why you're not getting hired to judge today, buddy.
You take that video down.
Big facts.
Hey, I know some people though that can put you on. You know what I'm saying? A little round table.
Big facts.
Yeah. So I mean.
Yeah,
it costs you about $150.
Infiltrate. We're gonna infiltrate. You know what I'm saying?
And there's so many layers to it, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything that we're saying, like, isn't.
I'm sorry.
Everything that we're saying isn't wrong. And what I feel where the disparity is that, and why some people get angry and they get online and they say this is the way breaking is and this is that, because, you know, they're not getting fulfilled in some area. They're feeling like the culture isn't, you know, giving something back to them that, you know, that they feel should be there, what this is all about, what the ethos of the culture is. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, what was that word?
Ethos.
You're going deep.
About that at the pharmacy last night. I was feeling sick.
The only thing, I ate some Doritos. I ate some Doritos last night with some hot sauce and lemon.
He says he reads.
But
he reads.
But that side of the culture should be on display too, you know? And that's why I think Bleach Street is a good idea and everything. And I mean, not to say that is the only jam doing that. There's a lot of underground jams that do that, but you wish that would be a display more. You know what I'm saying? Like these big competitions, man, what? Have a live band, the final battle. What the heck, dude? Like,
yeah.
Something like that, man. Bring that raw energy to it. Something like that, man.
Well, going into that, let's talk about music, because you're a very musical person. I'm not even talking about your dance.
Yeah.
You have a vinyl collection.
Ooh.
Crazy amounts.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Ever since I grown up, I remember, before I even started, I've told this on the podcast, but I was a Napster, LimeWire, internet kid, downloading music, and we were together just illegally pirating thousands of music. On our,
shout out to LimeWire.
Some illegal pirates.
Yeah. Statute of limitations, 7 years though. It's all good. We're clear. So
there's a way to get past that, bro.
Hey, let's not go on that. So
I'll talk to my
you're a music fan. You DJ too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the music nowadays. I think that plays a big part at jams. So what's the difference that you see? How do you feel about the music nowadays?
It's like,
be real, son.
Be
really real.
They play all the good songs at the beginning of the jam, and stuff. They're like, all right, let me get all these amazing, fucking songs out the way, and then we're gonna play these other, freaking, a stab
This
on
is
the
gonna
five
sound
and the
bad,
one.
but I always feel like the musically challenged b-boys and b-girls always get the best songs, and then the ones that really know how to ride the wave of the sound get the most jacked up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, I
definitely.
feel like that happens all the time.
And another example is like, freestyle session. The music they were playing in the Top Rock room and everything was just,
Next level.
like it was creating that vibe and everything.
Yeah.
But so it drives it. It's the energy behind it. And I wish that, and not to say like, we need innovation. We need.
Hey, let's give him his other gift, bro. Let's give him his other gift.
You ready for that?
What is
You
it?
ready for this other gift,
Yeah,
bro?
what is it, bro?
And this is all yours.
You just wanted to do this before you leave.
I do. I've been feeling sick, guys, so it's not been a good day for me. But I wanted to be on the podcast with Palmer 'cause he's such a beautiful soul.
What do you think it is?
Hey.
Three guesses.
Monster.
3 guesses.
Monster.
No, you get that every
Hey, y'all got me one of these? That'd be sick, bro. I've been wanting
No.
No.
Dang.
Shout out to Jose.
Poker.
Talk to
Something
Jose.
do with poker?
You got one more guess. That's 2.
Yep.
Joe's Deli gift card.
Woo! Look at that.
God dang, dog.
Hawaiian punch, baby.
Oh my gosh, man.
You gotta drink out of it though, just like that.
Dang, I love y'all, man. Thank you. You don't know how happy this makes me.
Yeah, drink it. No, drink it.
No, I'm not gonna drink it right now.
Can I pour it in your mouth?
No. Your character, friend. Someone said
A little overview, really quick, of what we've been talking about. We've been talking about the competitive breaking scene, the changes of it today, the feelings that it brings you, how you feel when you lose a big competition
Man,
today.
it hurts on the inside.
You be hurting a lot, right?
It hurt me.
You
You
feel
heard
like
a lot.
judges don't appreciate your style. I feel like judges don't appreciate your style, right?
What they looking at?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Are you still gonna compete?
Always, baby.
Yo,
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't
yo,
matter.
the gym is whack. I'll see y'all next year.
Yeah, that's absolutely everything we say after every battle.
I'm gonna stop going. Watch.
You're gonna
No,
be
you're
there
not.
again. You're gonna be there again because you love it.
Yeah.
You're one of the core b-boys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I go 'cause you go.
You go because I go.
Yeah.
I don't go to a
We
lot
got
of
them
them
without
though.
you.
I'm out here getting money, baby. You know what
Hey,
I'm saying?
but who breaks better, you or Jeremy?
Me. Me. Definitely.
Well,
I wonder what the world thinks. I
And-
wonder.
and I'm about
We should do a
25
poll.
about
There's-
25
the reason
over.
Drop the
why-
comments.
I'm about 25 over them, you know what I'm saying?
J for
You're what?
Jeremy,
About
P for
25 pounds over them, you know
Nah,
what I'm saying?
25 miles per hour faster than you.
You use that old line, bro. It's not gonna work this time.
Put a J for
I'm
Jeremy.
pretty fast.
That's
Put
a
a P
lie
for
and a half.
Palmer. We battle a lot though. People don't
Yeah,
know.
we have.
Y'all fight a lot
So
too.
deep down inside, you know what the truth is.
Yeah, we
Either
fought.
if I'm not better than you, then that makes you a shitty teacher. So.
Yeah, no, wait a second. Yeah, he's better than me.
Wait, so he's better than you?
Yeah, he's better than me.
What
That
about
makes
you?
me a good teacher, and I was better than him at one point, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm saying better than you.
You passing, so you're officially passing the torch right now?
Passion.
Passion the torch?
You passing the torch?
That's your passion, the torch. The spectators.
I want to hear. Are you officially passing the torch to me?
No, not yet. I still got a couple of.
Attempts.
Shout out to
I
Tori
still got a couple
Torsion.
miles in me.
Hey, we were talking about. Hey, we were talking about this. Remember, you know how people ask like, "Yo, who you got next round? Like, who you gonna battle?" And and they'll either be like if it's somebody really dope in their eyes, they'd be like, "Oh, they'll give you advice like, oh, man, you better do this, that." Or if you got somebody easy, who really think
yeah.
they got somebody who thinks easy, they'd be like, "Oh, that's tall, you good, man, go ahead." So I asked like, when people hear, "Who you got next round?" and they say, "I got Palmer."
Oh,
What do you
shoot,
think
you
this?
got that, man.
Versus like wing,
Easy.
like yo, you got wing.
Shit, man. You got wing next round? I don't know, bro. What? Hey, you remember that one move you did like 3 years ago? Where everybody went crazy. You can still do that. Hey, what do you think about that? Do you think how many people try and recreate moments? Like they do a crazy ass move and then they try and like.
Hey, at least you don't get the old man props like I do.
Oh, yeah.
I get the old man props.
Everybody give it up for Moore. He's been doing this a very, 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 very long time.
Give it up, y'all.
Very.
I had somebody come up to me at freestyle session.
It's your Cheetos. It's your Cheetos that's making us.
I had somebody come up to me and he says, "Damn, boy, I heard you still dancing." I'm like, "Damn right I am." But like, I'm like, why is that surprising?
He still got it.
Jeremy told me he read a comment on YouTube saying, "Damn, he's still alive." I'm like, yo, I'm barely gonna be 35 years old. I'm not that old. I just been breaking a while, but I'm not that old, you know.
Yeah.
But people be making feel old.
He still got it.
Dang, dude.
He
So
still
at
got
least
it.
you don't. At least
I'm
you
getting
don't
there,
get that.
bro. At least you got your hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
take off your hat.
Nah, homie.
In high school, I was the man, homie.
I was the man. Hey, people that know that I break, but they don't like. They just like. But they don't ever watch me break. You know, like people at work or something like that. They're like, oh.
They
so
think you do head spins.
Yeah, they think I do head spins and stuff. So like, I just go along with it.
So you lost your hair 'cause-
Yeah, because I
of
lost my
head
hair
spins?
because I did head spins and everything.
Little do they know you do footwork.
Hey, I showed one of my homies at work
Wait,
today.
wait. What's the most head spins you've done?
Oh, like what do you mean?
Like
Stop and
just
goes or
drill?
drills?
No, not stop and goes, not taps.
About tree fitting.
Tree fitting.
About tree fitting.
I think the way his head is shaped. It's the
You
way
would
his,
think I'd be able to.
no, like you can.
Oh, I can't?
The way his head is shaped is like
Yeah.
physically incapable of doing it. Or doing
Your
consistently.
head looks like an M&M,
Dang,
like a
dude.
peanut
Some
M&M.
people just born like that.
No, a cashew.
A cashew.
Yeah,
What would you tell your homie
Damn,
at
that's
work?
pretty bad.
Huh? Oh, I showed him a video of one of the kids at a freestyle session.
Yeah.
The kid
He
doing
thought
crazy
he's badass.
power round. He's like, damn, it's amazing.
Then he
He's
showed
like,
him you around?
No, he's like, so you do stuff like that?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, I used to. Like, I'm getting older though, you know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah.
You think if you showed them one of your rounds, they would think you suck?
I don't show him around. They don't get it because I'm an artist.
Artist.
You think Marcel Duchamp showed him his friends his pieces and they were like,
Probably, they loved it.
no, they didn't.
Yeah. Well, whatever helps you sleep at night.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Yeah, man. So
I mean, like, after, so you just finished doing freestyle session, you lost
yeah, I lost.
again, like Silverback, which at Silverback, real quick, Legs voted
Negative 22%.
negative
against me, bro.
22%
Like,
against.
bro, so I don't fit in any of those. I don't do moves that like
Shout out to
are
Legs.
like. Shout out to Legs for giving me negative 22%. Dang, man, motivation.
Yeah.
Shit.
Okay, so after receiving negative 20,
That means you gotta increase your
After
training
this
by
year,
22.
Bro,
Hold on.
My feelings were
there you
hurt,
go. That's
bro.
what I wanted to ask.
My feelings were hurt so bad.
No,
I had
they weren't.
anxiety for like 2 days.
No. You were in
Wait,
the
wait,
parking
wait.
lot. You were in the parking lot right after.
But when you walked out, did you walk out and say, "I'm not doing these competitions anymore"?
Yes.
How long did it take for that to say, "Hey, I'm gonna still do it"?
About 2 days after my anxiety went away, man. God dang,
Another
it's crazy.
crack.
Bro, he's crazy legs.
It really gave you anxiety.
Beach Street crazy legs, man. I'm like,
Yeah,
dang,
he
you don't know
thought
how
you
much
sucked bad.
Yes. And I'm probably one of the people in that room that looks up to him the most and stuff.
Do you really?
I'm a geek for this shit, dude. I told you.
But
I told you.
No, it made me feel bad though, man. Then it makes you question yourself, like what I'm like. You know, like I want to be validated on
Yeah, I
some
thought you
level.
guys won that battle.
do you think that holds you?
Yeah, and then I look at the battle and the guy against me crashed like
7
3
times.
Like,
Sometimes
was
I be
it 7?
sometimes
Like,
I be judging the battles, right?
And they're-
And I'm like, really? Y'all just voted for that?
But
Yeah.
can I ask you,
but
like,
I'm the weird one.
But then you look at some of the judges' score, and so the system has a little bar thing you can go over to the right or left, and you can tell some of them are lazy. They're just like, like, and they don't know that there's feelings behind that on stage, man. There's feelings behind that.
do you think you're like because you feel like valid, like you don't seek their
Hey, I'm doing
validation?
the podcast right now. I just got a call from Monster Energy.
Say something, Jose.
Say something. I'm gonna go ahead. Say something to the mic.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
Who are you?
That's all I'm gonna say. It's Jose Gonzalez with Monster.
Mr.
Hey.
Gonzalez.
The boss man.
I'm
Hey.
about to go on right now.
Okay. Hey. Leave us alone. Bye.
So, cause I was gonna say,
Well, it goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning. That's why you need more judges up there that have been involved in the competition scene that know, that understand when they see something and they know it's coming from a place where I put in my time, I put in my work, I've worked for what's mine, and I brought something to the table, and I get all this respect from all these b-boys and all these innovators and everything. But when I go up on that stage, I don't get the respect. You know what I'm saying? And like, where's the disparity at? And that's why I said when I saw Narume, the way she was voting, it made sense to me that, okay, she's been in this.
It's because she
and
voted for you.
She's because she voted for me too. But then I looked at the way she was judging and everything, and you can see that she kind of like she gets it from where I'm coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like, she knows where these moves are coming from. She knows where these styles are coming from. She can see if somebody's running. Like, so look, let me ask you this. I know you judge a lot of big competitions too.
Yeah.
If somebody is running moves, does that come into play? Like,
Of
if they
course.
do a battle in the prelim to get in the prelims, and they do the same run on stage.
Yeah, it doesn't count later.
So I mean, yeah. So that's the way I look at things, but that's never translated on stage. So it's like all these unwritten
It's
rules,
so-
all
okay.
these unwritten rules that I've grown up on.
I will say
For
this,
this
though.
culture goes out the fucking window.
I will say this, because I have judged big competitions where I'm like, did y'all just really judge for that? You know?
Yeah.
And I end up voting for somewhere else. But I've felt a little awkward at times when I'm the only one voting this way or whatever. But again, everyone goes up there with their own preference at the end of the day, right? Some
Yeah.
people are maybe looking a little deeper than others. I'm not saying I am. I'm not saying they're not. All I'm saying is that stuff happens. But I will say this. Right now you said, like, do I watch people who are running their moves? Yes. But there's sometimes where I feel like there's two guys going at it, right? And if I've seen one of them run their similar movement or similar moves, and then the other guy crashes, I'm going to have to go with the guy that was just,
Oh yeah, definitely.
you know? So, you know, it can become contradicting, but at the same time, yeah, the goal is to be different all the way through.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I don't like about today. Everything is like air flares, windmill taps, air chairs, like it's all the same. Everybody and anticipating the beat hit.
Yeah.
Everything. There is no like natural movement of flow, just
Yeah.
like going and going and going and going. I've lost to people that do a crazy dynamic move and just roll out of it and do because they fell and then go into something else. And then in my mind, I'm just like, how do I lose it? And I ask the judge, and they're like, oh, it's just because, you know, their style's sloppy, but it's okay because that's become their style.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, my whole life I've been taught to finish clean and do this and do that, but it's okay to fall out. Let me tell you something. If I fell out of a move, I'm not getting voted for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if I fell out and rolled into something else, I'm not going to get voted for. I don't get voted for already when I execute a good round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what people are thinking when they're judging. All I know, you ask me as a judge, I go out there and do what I can do, and that is it.
Yeah.
If I'm looked at as a good judge or a bad judge, I don't care. I don't care to be hired ever again.
Yeah.
You know, I know how to get mine.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the judges today get so caught up in trying to stay within the hype so they can continue to judge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just me being real.
Yeah.
That's just me absolutely being real. Because I don't feel like judges are digging a little deeper and appreciating original styles.
Yeah.
It's why I wanted to bring you on, and Jeremy and I wanted to bring you on because we wanted to ask you specifically because you have such an original movement, such an original style, and again, it's not appreciated. It's
Yeah.
not appreciated. You know what I mean? I mean, you just gotta accept it, bro. You suck now. Like it's what people they put you in the box of sucks.
Yeah, man.
Well, I know you
And
talked a
don't
lot.
suck.
You talked a lot about like peer respect and how you feel out there losing and like the respect of the judges or whatever. But I think it's important, or do you think it's important to not seek validation from the judges? Like,
Oh yes, definitely. Because
So you think there's b-boys that go out there and say, I'm gonna do this because I know this is what the judges like.
of course, I've heard people say it explicitly.
And that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
I've heard people who win a lot say that explicitly. So it's dumb, but
That's
it's
probably why we lose so much.
It's
Hey,
dumb.
remember that one story when Dizzy messaged us back in the day?
yeah.
Oh yeah, the formula.
Yeah.
story?
He asked us if we wanted to know
said
the
he-
formula.
Oh, I remember.
It's a true
he
story.
says,
He misses me, so let me tell the story.
This is the UK champs days, right?
No, it was Chelsea Battle Pro.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, it was Chels Battle Pro. We lost at Chels Battle Pro to Fusion MC, and this was Havocoro. So it was like me, Palmer, Moy, Nasty Nate, Joel,
Marlon,
Rudy Ray. It was a full squad.
Yeah.
Our first crew battle in a long
Yeah.
time, right? And Fusion MC, the crew from Korea, they come out and they do a lot like routines every round, right?
Yeah, every
Routines every single round. You know, a lot of blow-ups, tricks, da-da-da. And we lost, and we didn't think we lost, per usual. And then I remember I questioned Dizzy about it afterwards. I think he gave me an explanation or something. And then afterwards, no, sorry, I got it wrong. I didn't question him about it afterwards. I messaged him on Facebook afterwards, and I asked him why. And he messaged me back and literally said, I know the formula to win competitions. Would you like to know it?
Jeez Louise.
And I think he's even promoted this. He's promoted this. I know he has his vlog. Shout out his vlog. Go check out his vlog. Subscribe. Dizzy Vlogs. I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry. But yeah, he's promoted this formula and embraced it. And I guess I can't knock it, but it's just I would like to bring that up, and it's a good story to tell because I don't view it that way, and I know we don't view it that way, and it's an opposing view. So shout out to Dizzy and his formula on winning breaking, but it's just for me. It's just
Like
I would love
a New York
Zeshin,
Times bestseller.
Zeshin, dog. I was there too. Sorry, Zeshin.
Get it today at Barnes and Noble.
But shout out Dizzy and his formula. But
New York
I would.
Times
It would be
bestseller.
dope to have him on the show. It'd be dope to talk with him and debate with him because I don't view breaking, and I know we don't. You don't view it like that as at all.
Neither do I.
And it might be something that works. It probably does work, and it's probably why we
Yeah,
don't
but-
lose because we
but
have
massive-
Hey,
because
shout out to Zeshin. He said he was there too. My bad,
Yeah.
we forgot you.
we have no there's no thought in our mind about that at all when we go up, and people might think it's counterproductive. Like it's like kind of like no strategy, you know. Like strategy is a weird word for me too because I can say I have no strategy, but I can also say I do have a strategy, you know. But I don't sit there and think, you know, I'm gonna do a little bit more tough.
I'm not gonna lie. I've tried to sit down and say I'm gonna come in with a strategy today,
Yeah.
and
Just
it
can't do
never works out. I just can't. I've tried to sit down and write my moves down, and I can't.
Well, going back
I
to
just go.
Okay, so to offer a little more insight,
that's why I
to
lose
go
all
and
the
to go
time.
back to approach, and like this is when we talk about when I say when it's formula.
Guys,
I
may have to leave soon. I'll give it another 5 minutes. I have a crazy headache.
So I don't know the formula. I never got it. I didn't accept the invitation to get the formula, but I would imagine the formula would be
Shoulda
something.
got it.
I would imagine it's like
Sugar cookie, man.
ravioli, give me the formuoli. Dizzy. I'm Plankton and SpongeBob is Dizzy with the secret Krabby Patty recipe. Anyways, I would imagine the formula is something like foundation, footwork, dynamics, maybe something that falls in line with the system that he has in play, you know. And like when I go out, I don't think I'm gonna do this formula, foundation, execution, power moves, da da da. But to give more insight on what I think it is and what I see it, and going back to approach, is I'll see b-boys go out, and when I'm seeing them, and if I were to like translate their rounds, I would love to pull up like some rounds in the future to like see this live. But I'll see people go out, and for me, what they're saying is, this is my top rock, and then this is my go down, and this is my power moves and my big trick on beat, and this is a little bit of footwork to end the round, and this is me finishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what the round is translated. And like when I see you go out, like I can't translate your round. Like I can't put it on paper. And I always I taught this in my workshops a long time ago. It's like James Brown. Like when you read James Brown lyrics on paper, you know what I'm saying? Like you would, if you never heard James. Yeah. If you never heard James Brown before, and you were to look at his
On paper, he sucks.
he
but
sucks.
Live.
No. So it's like if you break down people's rounds and you see these people's rounds, it's like flare, windmill, 90, air track, windmill taps, icy ice, freeze. Like, okay, man, that was a good round, you know. Like, but then you look at Palmer's round, it's like thread, spin.
Triangle, square, box.
You,
box,
and
box,
yeah,
box,
triangle,
box,
up, down, left, right,
left,
diagonal.
left, right,
Like,
BB.
come on, bro. This
Hey,
is
this
what
selects
this is
stars.
what I'm talking. This is what I'm talking about. This, like, I hope that gives people a little more insight. So
Yeah.
for me, and this is what I mean by digging deep. You know, like you literally can do this in a competition. You can work on a blow up for months and perfect it, and then you can go out in a round with total disregard to the music and how things are and how you feeling, show a little top rock and then say, look, this is the moves that I worked on for months, and you can win that way. So like that's for me, that's the state of things, and we've never prepared like that.
No, that's why we lose. The formula is basically
Everything we don't do.
you have to do exactly
Guys,
what you said.
I mean, I think he's right.
Practice months before, and then do
We
exactly what you.
You think it's too late? Yo,
Nah, it's never too
Dizzy,
late.
hit me up, please.
It's never too late. Dizzy, send it to me.
lose.
Trying to win
He
2019.
loses everything, so send it to me, and then I'll send it to more.
No, you can email it to me.
I'll email it to you.
Email it to me.
Jeez,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
Are you about to head out?
I gotta leave.
Because we're going to talk
I'm
reckless
not-
whenever
I'm
you
not-
leave,
I'm
baby.
I'm not feeling. I'm not feeling good.
All right, man. Well, you've been
Yeah.
you've been the mediator and all this, but once you leave, it's about to
Hey,
get.
y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. Hey, Palmer, I just want to tell you, man.
No,
You keep doing what you're doing,
I
man.
am. Never gonna stop,
know?
baby. Unless
You-
Warren Punch and Cheetos bring me down, but they ain't not gonna let me down.
Is the Cheeto in your mouth while you're pouring?
No,
pouring
that's
punch?
disgusting.
No.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
well,
wait. I want a picture of all of us. Hey, Josh, can you take a picture with the camera? I'm talking to a producer right now. If you hear
Shout out to
us.
MVP.
Josh, that's our
Whoever-
MVP of Break Free.
Yo, if you're tuning in now, drop a comment. Boy's about to leave, so it's
How long
about to
we been
get.
going? Dang, we've been going for an hour and 20
Dope
minutes.
topic. For
It-
some, the lifelong artistry will matter more than the win. As in, they'd rather lose or even be
Been
caught
Dead
dead
and have a.
than have
We
a.
can't read the whole comment, but
Yeah,
you're right,
can't.
Zesh.
Yeah.
He's a doctor,
Hold
so
on,
I
let's
take his
read-
word
let's see
for
the
it.
rest of his message.
No, let's take the picture. Then one thing at a time for MVP, bro.
I'll try to get a picture before
Come
I leave,
on,
man.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
For those tuning in,
Good.
Boy's about to leave, and then things are gonna get real X-rated once he leaves. You know what I'm saying? R.
I was hoping it happened while I was here. Y'all took too long. Anyways, Palmer, back to what I was saying. You're such a beautiful soul,
Thank you, man.
and there's a lot of amazing things happening with inside the world of Palmer. Picture time. All right, cool. So we got the picture. So keep it up, man. You're doing awesome.
Shout out to Polsky.
You're doing awesome, man.
Yo, shout out Polsky.
Polsky doing amazing work. That's
Man.
the real hip
Mighty
right
Four.
there.
For San
Yeah.
Francisco.
Real
For
hip-hop
real.
right there. For real.
Posky
for real.
has always been a true leader. He's
Did I get that
always-
right? Is it San Francisco? I don't want to get
Yeah.
that wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just say Bay Area, just
Bay
for
Area.
the safe side.
Shout out Polsky. We love you, bro.
Yeah.
He's a perfect example of why the teacher-student complex
Okay, I
in
gotta
hip-hop culture is so important.
Much love,
man.
Posky.
It's so
Not feeling
important.
well.
Like, look at all the people that have
Those-
been underneath Polsky that are still representing at a high level and doing amazing things in the culture. You know what I'm saying? Love you more.
Hey, Jeremy, send me those pictures later.
I got you. I got a question for each of you. Can you pull up that full question? Is there any way? I got a question for each of you. What were your top 3 positive freestyle session weekend and 3 things that could be worked on? That's a full question, right? I'll go first with that.
All right.
This is a question from Polsky. 3 of each, so basically 3 positives and 3 negatives. I'll start with positives. I think the attendance, like as far as the numbers pulled in and the amount of people in the room, like seeing everybody, that's always, for me at these big events, that's always a huge positive. So I'll definitely say that's one of the biggest. 2, I'll say the level that was produced in the competitions, like in the later rounds, like Zeku had an amazing round. Like one of the
Victor did.
Victor had an amazing,
Robin.
like that
Robin.
battle in particular, Zeku and Sweet Pea against Victor and El Nino was one of the craziest battles of the night. And there was just some really dope moments that were produced. And then Earthquake was B-Boy Earthquake was featured on Joe Rogan podcast, which
Yeah.
is another dope moment.
Yeah,
So I'll say 1 was the people in the room, how many people brought it out. 2 was the moments that it created, and 3, I really liked seeing everyone set up like the booths, like Respected Forever, and a couple of different people that were set up. And I always love to see like the brands that b-boys create and what they're selling. So I would say the 3 positives for the weekend were the people in the room, the moments that it created, and then seeing people's brands and all the collective energy and creativity that was created from that. As far as things that could be worked on, number one, I'll start with I think the venue, and this is not that particular venue, but I'll say in general, and this is just my personal belief, is I think that promoters should try to search for a different venue every single year. And this is for reasons of, like, I just think when it's held at the same venue every year, it's almost like trying to do the same move, you know, and recreate a moment. It's just never the same for me. And there are some certain circumstances, like, where it was better the second year at the venue, but I just think a general rule of thumb to follow is that I think it's better for promoters to search for different venues and hold it at somewhere else. And I would like for it to have been at a different venue, because I think it starts to become something expected, and like it was a lot of deja vu like moments. I'm like, damn, I remember this from last year, and not in like a dope positive way, you know. Two, and this is just another thing for events in general, is music. And I know it's just the way things are now with copyright laws and live streams and all that, but I think the music in general, and this is not a diss to the DJs, but I just am not a fan of music at jams nowadays. And I know some people might get mad at that, but that's always a takeaway for me. It's like, damn, you know, like it wasn't enjoyable in that sense. And then another thing as far as what could be worked on is I just wish there was, and this is the same that can be said for Silverback, is I wish there was more educational components of it. I know Freestyle Session has always been competition, but whenever you get that many dope people in the room, like it would have been dope to hear you speak, Paulski, and like have a panel with you, and we can build like between Mighty Four and Break Free and other things like that. Like there's just so many opportunities with so many people in that room to build on an educational level. And you know, I know workshops have never been a part of Freestyle Session, but I think this is just things that more jams need overall. It's just educational components with the certain amount of people that are in that room. So the three positives and the three negatives, or things that could be improved on, I think can be universal for most of the big jams nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, tying into the music aspect that Jeremy was talking about. I mean, you know, like I said, it was night and day between that Top Rock, you know, funk room and then the main room, you know, and it was because of the vibe that people were putting out in there, and just what they were trying to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to dance, and they were trying to have a good time. You could feel it in there, you know? And it's like these competitions, they drive these people to, you know, really like seclude themselves. You know what I'm saying? They don't let it out like that, you know? But for some reason in the other room, they would let it out. And you got to kind of look at that and say, why? Like, why is it like that? I think one of the reasons is the music, and one of them is the approach that they're having for how they're going to dance that day. Okay, I'm going to have to do a crazy round. I'm going to have to, you know, cover all aspects. I'm going to have to do a 1 minute long round and everything, you know? So they don't dance. They don't get down. You have all these amazing B-boys in the room, and nothing is happening. Not these legendary moments. They're not having moments like, you know, Vagabonds versus the Family that, you know, I grew up watching. You know what I'm saying? Things like that, you know? And it's discouraging for me whenever, you know, two major events happen, you know, almost back to back, and there wasn't one major battle that came out of that, like from, you know, the sidelines or anything, you know? That really shows like where people's heads are at. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, and not to say that like I don't want it to make it sound like I want this raw ass jam where everybody's, you know, like that, but it's just like there's no like there's no dope exchanges like that where you're like, dang, I really saw what this dude really has to offer. Like, yeah, you get glimpses of that in the competition and everything, but like there's a hand, like, you know, 10 or 20 more b-boys that can, you know, show that same thing in the room, but they don't get to shine like that because they don't get the opportunity to get on that stage because their style isn't respected. But what they don't realize is they don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need to dance on that floor. You have it all there. The music is playing. You know what I'm saying? You can represent. And that ties into one of the other things I don't like about big competitions is how long you have to wait, man. Like, you know, it's just this big waiting game. And it's because a lot of these b-boys, they don't got their heads, and a lot of b-boys and b-girls, they don't got their heads right because, you know, for me, when I first got into it, there was a place called YA, right? Youth Advocates that everybody would go to on Thursdays, and they practice, and they had battles there and everything. Mm-hmm. And it took me 2 years going there to battle once. I was so like, I wanted to display something dope. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wanted people to think I was dope. So I was like, I'm not gonna go out there and just do some whack stuff. I'm gonna get in the lab. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have something to show. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show who I am.
Yeah.
You know? But now you got all these people that are entering just to enter. Like, what is the point of you entering? You're just taking up time, man. You know, when all these other amazing, you could be dancing on the side and have such a greater experience, gain so much more knowledge, but you don't want to do that because your mind is somewhere else. And that's the problem that I have with what these big competitions and what the media is displaying, you know, and what's giving it shine and everything. You know, you got these media channels, you know, recording, you know, all these things that are happening, but they're not recording anything else that's happening. You know, they got all these people here that they can interview, really interview. Ask them, like, think about some questions, some really deep questions you could ask them. People like Polsky, you know, people like Cross, for him throwing the jam for so long. Like, you know, think of some dope things to ask him, you know? Ask him, what do you think the difference is today between, you know, this freestyle session and then the ones that are in the past, and get his opinion on stuff like that, you know? But it's like, you know, I wish people would just be in a different state of mind sometimes, man, because it's like it's all geared towards that. It's all geared towards, you know, me getting this, you know, this spot on.
But you could say you've gotten caught up in that too, though, right?
What do you mean?
Like you personally, I could say I've gotten caught up in that personally too, sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
and that's why I'm saying.
Nah,
yes.
I'm chill. I gotta win. You know, like
exactly. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm any different, because sometimes it is. But that's how powerful this thing is, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's very powerful what is put in front of your eyes and what gets put on display and what's the number one thing. You know what I'm saying? Because even I'm like that. I'll go to jams and I've been training. I've been in the lab every day and I got everything to show. But then, you know, it gets, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to do the competition and everything, you know? But, like, it's because of, you know, the environment and everything, you know? So, yeah, it does have to do with the music. It does have to do with the competition. You know, it does have to do with the judges picking who wins and everything. You know, it's all of that. There's so many layers to it. And, you know, I just think that there should be more discussions about it and everything, you know? And you know, adult discussions too, because I'm not sitting here saying I'm mad or anything about it. But, like, I want to uplift people. I think better things should be on display. It's simple fact, like we were talking about earlier, the space between people. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I know what the answer is going to be to that, because, you know, it has to look clean on footage. You have to see the sponsors and everything like that. But there has to be some way that, you know, the sponsors get their shine and everything. And then what is so special about our culture is put on display. How dope would it look if there was this huge circle, you know, people sitting down and everything, and that's what's getting pushed out there instead of some, you know, say big white floor and everything, you know, like you feel the vibe from the, like, I remember seeing the old B-Boy Summit, like B-Boy Summit 99. B-Boy Summit 99 was on a stage, and I still felt the energy from that because what was on display and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I think another angle to look at it though too is, I think a problem a lot of like B-boys and B-girls have is being, I'm trying to think of a better way to put it, but I think a lot of people honor tradition so much that they put it first in a way where it holds the culture back. And to go deeper into that, I think nowadays what I see, it's like it's a synthetic version of what was in the past.
yeah.
So whenever, like, things are different now, and I remember growing up, like, just another example is, like, it's hard for me at these jams to even want to cipher. And I've personally looked at like retrospect and think, well, is this because I'm getting bored, or is this something personally?
Definitely. I'd be thinking that too.
But like no,
Like,
like we love this dance. We get down in our garage every day, and I think I'm the same hungry kid that I was when I was 20, 21, 22, and I was like traveling the world and calling people out, calling judges out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about the Flowmaster and Rainy thing, and like we called them out because we were pissed, and we've been pissed like a lot of jams these past 2 years, but we haven't called them out. And I think to myself, why? And it's just because things are different now, and I really think what is around and what exists, from the music to the characters in the scene to the ciphers, it's like synthetic ciphers. It's synthetic music.
Yeah.
It's because people, because there's this narrative push of preserving tradition and keeping it real and
But at the same
being a
time-
b-boy and this and that. So people try to do that and they try to fit the bill and like being a cipher sniper and going to like I'm gonna be a cipher sniper and go to this cipher and then call this guy out and I'm gonna do
Yeah.
this. Like that's not
And
that's
you
not
can al-
natural.
you
It's,
can always
it's
see
I can
right through it.
smell
I
the
can see
synthetic.
right
Yeah, I
through
can see
all that stuff,
it's
dude.
synthetic, bro. Like hip hop is about pushing things forward.
Yes, definitely.
And if you are trying to honor tradition so much that it holds the culture back from being pushed forward, then you are part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to do things differently. We have to be original. We have in every single aspect. So this narrative of being a cipher sniper and calling people out and being a real b-boy, or this narrative of like, you know, keeping it real, it has to be deaded and you know, traditional textbook ABC breaking, foundationally sound breaking has its place, but what we should also be pushing, and there should be people championing like championing being champions of real original breaking, innovativeness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Roll around on the floor.
Roll around the floor.
Let me see it.
Let me see it.
Sweat,
Sweat, blood,
tears,
tears.
feeling.
Where's that at?
Yeah, you may got skill, but you got heart.
I remember
We got heart, no
you got
skill.
heart.
No skill. All heart, baby. What you got?
Oh man, dude. Yeah. So that's three things. More than three things, huh?
Nah, you didn't even break it down. You didn't answer no question at all.
Who did it?
You did
What are you
it.
talking about? I didn't break it
What
down.
3 things did you name?
I don't remember, but it was fire.
Yeah, man. You want to go home?
Huh?
You want to go home?
We done?
We could keep going. We can go home.
Who's out there? Somebody say something. Is anybody out there? Dang, did we hate this whole time? We just hated on things?
Yeah.
Dang, man. We're a bunch of haters.
You got any questions for me?
Let me see. When's your monster contract in?
April.
Shout out to if Rich Crackers is trying to pick up Jeremy.
We used to joke about that.
Huh?
Nutri-Grain All-Stars?
Nutri-Grain All-Stars.
That would be sick. Nah, my contract's never ending. Nah, not really.
Nah, man, but I love this stuff, man.
What's the?
Hip hop makes me so mad sometimes because I love it so much. You know what I'm saying?
What's in your playlist nowadays?
My playlist.
Like what type of music? Like name some artists.
Toro Emoy.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, boy. Bad, Bad, Not Good.
Mm-hmm.
Nina Simone, always.
Nina Simone.
Dang, did I say you know what I'm saying a lot?
Drake every time Palmer said, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
You
saying?
must
You
be
know what I'm saying?
drunk.
Hey.
She must be drunk, you know what I'm saying? Bad, Bad, Not Good, Tori Moy.
Toro Emoy.
Let's go deeper.
Dang, dude. Been listening to a lot of J-Rock mixes.
Beat Junkies.
Gilberto Gil. You know what I'm saying? Ostrich Gilberto. I love Brazilian music, man.
Is that Bossa Nova?
Bossa Nova, yeah. What are you rocking with nowadays?
Lil Uzi Vert.
Oh my god.
You like Uzi too.
That's why you lose.
Playboy Cardi.
Yeah, they're fire. Well, hey, what's that now?
Yo, rest in peace, ASAP Yams. It was it's Yams Day today. It's his birthday today.
What was that
He'll be
analogy?
30 years
What
old.
was that analogy you gave about same thing about like rappers and like also they like you know like the old school heads don't like the new rappers and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying it's like the same thing with breaking and stuff. Like they don't get like some of this new stuff, but it's fire.
Yeah. Like, but the thing about it is, like, if the rap game was like how the break game is,
Yeah.
it would be like Kumo D's trying to judge Playboy Cardi. Like, imagine you think Kumo D's rocking with Playboy Cardi? Nah, look at this guy.
He's like, when's the real MC's gonna come?
Yeah, when are the real MCs?
Negative 22%.
So if you was a rapper, like you're the break game, what?
Shoot.
Action Bronson.
Oh man.
Break game, Action Bronson. I'm probably like Riff Raff or something. H-Town. Break game, Riff Raff. Yeah, man, you just don't get us, bro. That's what it comes down to. Judges, you don't get us, bro.
You don't get us, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Dang.
What you got coming up next, dog?
Vancouver.
I don't care.
What you got coming up next?
I'm going to Miami this weekend. iFlow. Shout out to my boy Lego. He says "be" a lot. He'll be.
Wait, is
He'll
Lego's
be.
event?
I think so. Is it?
No,
It's not.
it's not Lego's event.
Oh, he's gonna be there though.
Is he? He's in Miami?
Shout out to my boy Lego.
Yeah, we love you, Lego.
Ha 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 ha.
B,
B.
you got a funny Lego story?
Huh?
Tell a funny Lego story.
Nah, man. It's a funny Lego
Tell a
story.
funny Ladybug story. Shout out
Tell a
Ladybug.
story.
Fat Joe.
Tying into more breaking stuff, I remember at Silverback, I was talking with Stripes, and I think it was before the final battle, and we were talking about like just
Against
breakers.
Vic?
Yeah, and he was like, man, everybody keeps coming up to me, telling me to do my power, and he's like, I told him, I said, are you gonna do it? He goes, no. He's like, I don't feel like doing it. He's like, why am I gonna do that here? I was like,
That's the advice that
But it's
everyone
like-
gives, right?
Yeah. He's like,
Yo, the flare 90, do that.
yeah, do that flare 90.
Try to do that flare 90 flare you got, bro.
Power's been looking nice. Why don't you go out there and do that?
It's pretty sound advice, too. You
But I
about
think
it.
there's b-boys that, like, I don't know, because the way I look at it, because it's like, why would you want to go out there and, like, just do moves like that, like, got names to it, like, just run moves like that?
So you can win.
That's a good point. Maybe that's why they do that. But then there's some people who don't look at it like that, man. You
I
know?
think I've told you this before, but I think if we were to add a flare or add a power move to the end of every move that we got, it would immediately increase its appeal. People would like love it. Like, oh, just do a flare after that.
Just do a flare?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some people do that.
Yeah,
They just do a flare into everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that they win.
Yeah.
But we talked about this the other day too. Is that I think there's artists that exist, whether in break-in or any other art form, that they're used as sources of inspiration, like deep sources of inspiration for other artists and other more successful artists.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? So like people who are at the top of the food
That's-
chain, people who are at the top of the food chain in their respective art form. There's people who are in the middle or bottom of the food chain that those people at the top really look for
That's what I'm
for
talking about.
inspiration.
That's what I'm talking about when I was talking about earlier, the core b-boys. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones who are driving the ideas and everything.
But I see a lot of, like, I don't think people know this, but a lot of people do your stuff and your similar concepts, and it's because you post everything on Instagram. So if you
You
want
know how many people come up to me and, oh my God.
Yo.
Your Instagram is crazy, bro.
It's because they take those moves, baby. Yo, I got an event coming up. Let me pull up Palmer's Instagram. Hold up real quick.
Oh, man, dude.
Dang, just endless sources
It's because
of inspiration.
I get out of work and I have to, man.
Inspiration, baby.
I have to.
Oh my goodness.
You want to talk about that?
Inspiration.
You want to talk about that?
What?
Like,
Oh yeah, let them know what you do for work.
what do you mean? Let's just say I have a job, right? And I've always had a job. And so for me, like, what I've always fought with is, like, I've always had, like, one foot in breaking and the other foot, like, in, having a normal life and everything working and all that. And I think I've gotten used to it and everything.
What's your boss's name?
Huh?
What's your boss's name?
April.
April what? Last name?
What?
Just want to know.
No, I'm not going to do that.
So you got Ivan, the urban action figure, on one side.
Ivan, the urban action figure on one side.
And then you got April.
And then I got April on the other side, yeah.
Earlier,
Inspiration.
at your previous job, I remember your previous job's boss's name. It was Donnie McDonald, right?
Donnie McDonald, yeah. that sounds like a boss's name, huh?
So, you had Storm on one side, and you had Donnie McDonald on the
Nah,
other side.
not Storm no more. Always votes against me.
No, man. Yep, those are your two worlds, Donnie McDonald and Storm.
But let me finish my thought, bro. I've always had one foot in and one foot out, and I think I've gotten used to it because it's like, bro, like, just the day-to-day life, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what I would do without breaking, bro. I would go crazy if I didn't have this outlet. You know what I'm saying? And, like,
Various drugs, probably.
various drugs,
Yeah.
you know,
Overall POS,
what does that mean?
PSO.
Huh?
You'd be an overall piece of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
He'd probably be in a casino all day, right?
Gambling and
Yeah.
everything.
Whenever you named your positive as a freestyle session, you didn't name your number one positive.
I didn't name one positive.
No, your number one positive
Oh,
is that you stayed at the Commerce Casino.
I don't look back, baby.
And he won in poker, so he wasn't a real loser that
Yeah, I
weekend.
did win. I won some money in LA. That's good. But you didn't let me finish my thought. Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that like the normal people, like, they need outlets like that and everything? Like, or they, you know, kind
No,
of?
because I'm sure you work with people that have no outlet at all.
That's what I'm saying.
But are they happy? Or can you even tell if they're happy or not?
Maybe.
Because some people just put like family first,
Yeah.
and the fact that they put food on their table
Yeah.
and go home to a warm bed is fine for them.
Yeah.
So for some people it's not enough, but for some people that's fine for them. But some people have
It's the curse of people.
no, it's an outlet. Whether people admit it or not, they have outlets. It can be a bad outlet or it can be a good outlet.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
Yeah.
So we just, you know.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, I'm glad I've always had breaking, you know, in hip hop in general.
So when are you gonna quit your job?
I want to.
If you're out there, next time you see Palmer, please tell him to quit his job. Because I don't think, I've been telling you this for years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
To quit your job.
You have?
And it's not as simple as it sounds. I know it's not. But the reasons why I've told you is just because of your untapped potential of being an artist and being able to be free with your art. But I know we've talked about this before too, because it's like you feel like if there's a possibility and danger of if you do make your art your job, then it wouldn't be art,
Yeah,
you know.
that's what I was trying to get to before you cut me off and everything, bro. It's like I've always, you know, had one foot in and one foot out, and it's always, I think that's what, that push-pull, you know what I'm saying? It's always driven me to create, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got this, you know, 9 to 5 that I work and everything, and, you know, I think at the end of the day, a lot of, like, you want to feel special about something, you know, like, and breaking has always been that thing for me, and I think that's why I've always done it for, you know, going on 20 years next month, and that I always feel like I will, you know what I'm saying? I think creating is, you know, it's a characteristic of God and everything, you know, so it's like, that's my own way of, you know, being in His image, you know what I'm saying?
Art is making the divine tangible.
Yes,
You've heard that
I
before?
love that line. Yes, it is, man. You know, like, and I wish that creating was put on a more of a platform. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of special qualities in that you gain, like, you know, intrinsically. Like, you know, there's a reward system, you know, like built into your like soul, like for creating. You know what I'm saying? And when you create something and it's of significance and it inspires somebody. I'm like, it always trips me out, man, where, you know, I post clips from the garage, you know, then some kid from, you know, Russia or Belarus or something, China would message me and be like, India, and be like, you're such an inspiration, the way you take your craft, you know, and, you know, you inspire me a lot, you know, and it's crazy what you can do just by doing something in your garage, you know what I'm saying? There's a story that Mario told me from the crew. He said that when he first started dancing, there was a kid that he danced with. I forgot what his name was, but his dad let him come live at his house, at Mario's house, you know, and they were practicing in a room, he said, and he said that one time it's like the walls were sweating. That's how long and how, like, the vibe that was in the room, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was almost like the walls were sweating, and that hit me hard, because it's like that sweat from that wall and that energy and that vibe has lasted for so long, you know? It was the birth of Choral, and then Choral, you know, merged with Havoc, you know, then it became Havoc Choral, and then, you know, we're still carrying that on today, you know? And then I have my son who's also breaking too and everything, and how long something so little like that can last, and how much of an effect it can have, you know? It's allowed me to see the world, you know, that sweat on that wall, you know? It's allowed you to see the world. It's allowed you to get a Monster Energy contract, you know, and put money in your pocket, you know? So it always trips me out how our culture creates these special moments like that, and how you can, just by using, you know, your body and your uniqueness, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I wish that was on display more, because there's such a reward in that, you know, a long-lasting reward, you know. And then going back to cruising, I mean, what do you think about that? Like, do you think crews are different nowadays, like compared to, you know, what you grew up with and everything? Like, and do you think that adds a different dynamic to, you know, the culture and then jams we go to as a culture? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I think like
do you
when
really
people
see
talk about
crews? Do you really see crews like even like young? And I understand that like people get older and then, you know, you get different boys and everything, and then you get different opportunities and stuff like that. But even for the younger crew, I don't see anybody represented as a crew. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's like, damn, do people not grow up with like, you know, kids like they're boys and they practice together and then they do stuff together? Like, you don't ever see that no more, man.
Yeah, I think, well, you know, you've been in it longer than me, but I entered when 2005, 2006, and things like, you can recall back to that era, and things were like very, very heavily crew oriented. Like I remember the first jam that I went to was Hoedown 06. Yeah. And the crew battles would have a choral, and that's when they battled Freak Show. And the next year, I think, like that string.
That's what I'm talking about, like that, man.
Well, even just the fact, just to be upfront, honest about everything, is that like Have a Choral doesn't really rep anymore as a crew, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, full crew battles are like few and far in between. And I know that things exist about real crew and fake crew or super crews, and I have my opinion about that too. But at the end of the day, that like chatter in the scene about fake crews and our super crews and real crews doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, one person can't tell you who your real crew is. You know what I'm saying? And like, I can say that my circle has changed. I think it's a more accurate way to put it, is like an individual circle.
Yeah.
So everyone's circle changes, and I think the scene romanticizes the idea of crews in a way. And when I say romanticize, I mean it's like we put it on this pedestal of like realness, and it falls in line with keeping it real.
Hold on. Wait, so what do you mean by romanticizing? Like, so you don't think that's a good thing? Like, I'm talking about, like, this is mainly for the younger generation. Like I said, I know things happen, and your circle changes, and things are different. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about, like, as a whole, you don't see any crews that are like on the come up. Like, nobody, dude. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
So what's your question?
Like, the question is, like, you don't feel like there's any value in that? Like, you building something on a home base, like, you know, you're barely getting started breaking. You know what I'm saying? And then you and your boys, you know, try and build something off of that and everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I didn't say there was no value. I said people romanticize the idea of a crew. So is that what was your question? That what does that mean? What I mean by romanticizing?
So you don't think there should be the younger generation should have a strong home base?
Who said that?
No.
I said people romanticize the idea of a crew.
Okay, but like explain that further.
Okay, so when I say people romanticize the crew, I said they put it on a pedestal. So they said you have to have a real crew and you have to represent as a real crew. So this is put up there, and I can recall back even to when I was young and me being in, like, I didn't have that problem because Have a Choral has always been seen as one of the realest crews. You know what I mean? But for people, I can even remember looking down on people who were in more than one crew. Like, that was a thing growing up. Like, oh, that motherfuckers in two crews, ha 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 ha. You know, like that. Like, and I can, in retrospect, look back and be like, why? Like, it doesn't. If he wants to be in two crews, let him be in two crews.
Yeah.
You know, and to speak on like the importance of a crew. Of course, it's not important to have a quote unquote real crew. What's important is to have a tight circle. That's the more accurate word.
Yeah, no,
it's to have a base of people that you do grow up with and you practice with. But what I say is romanticizing, B-boys and B-girls romanticize a lot of things.
Yeah.
Crews, ciphers, realness, foundation for, like, that's, you know, across the board. So people put these things on these pedestals and say this is what it is. This is how you should do it, and that's a problem. That's a problem, and it might contribute to why you don't see, quote unquote, real crews.
Yeah.
You know, but you can make an argument like with Monster. Like, I genuinely love every single person on Monster as a boy.
Yeah.
You know, and it happened because we came together. It could, you know, the origins might be different. Like, we didn't grow up on the block together.
Yeah, well, I wasn't
But
really
now
trying
we're
to say that.
but I'm using an example. Like,
Yeah.
now we're growing up making money together and traveling the world together and
Yeah.
battling, and I get to see, you know, people provide for their families and buy houses off of this, and
Yeah.
like that's a bond that's formed, you know.
Definitely.
And you know, that's what it is at the end of the day. I think I put out something like that, like a status, like nobody can tell you what your real crew is. So when people in the scene talk about, you know, there's no more real crews, like, what? People still love you. Like, you know, if there's not any real crews where people think of the concept of real crews, that means that people stop loving each other and stop dancing with each other.
Yeah.
And that's not the case, you know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah,
gonna. I can't
yeah.
measure how many people dance together, or
No,
if it was
yeah.
more like that back in the day. But
Maybe I should ask the question, you know, better. I really didn't put it good, but like, you know, what I was just trying to say is that, like, you know, the younger generation just, you know, create something of their own. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not try and, like, you know, ride the coattails of something that's already been put in place and everything. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
like you don't have to do it that way. Like, you can. There's a uniqueness to what you can bring to the table and everything. You know?
yeah, yeah, I think. I mean, that's something that you've taught me, and that everyone in the crew has taught me, is that, you know, despite the chatter and things that might go on behind the scenes or in the ethos of the scene or behind you or what you might hear in your ear, is that you have to just represent you and the individual. You know, like we both read about philosophy and particularly people like Carl Jung and Nietzsche talk about individualism and the individual.
Yeah.
So at the end of the, like, people talk about, you know, to put it crudely, it's like, you know, you have to look out for yourself at the end of the day, and there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Despite if you have people who love you, and if you have a family or your boys, you are responsible for yourself, and you're responsible for your own happiness.
Yeah.
And you're the person who's in control of your own happiness and your own success.
Yeah.
You can't put that in anyone else's hands.
Yeah.
And you can't put your realness in anybody else's hands. And the way that the scene exists now is a lot of young b-boys do that.
Yeah.
And going back to validation, it's like they look for validation, whether it be in the form of, you know, highlight clips or the point of a finger and judging, or people saying it's real or not.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, you know? So, yeah.
We went on for a long time. I just want to end it with saying that it's all coming from a place of love. Cross one if you see this. Freestyle session. Let me tell you a little story about freestyle session. I ordered freestyle session 5 in the mail, bro. Oh my god.
No, I
It
remember.
took me-
I remember when you used to be on AOL Instant Messenger.
Yes.
And you didn't even meet Cross.
Yeah.
And you used to talk with him and trade VHS tapes with him.
Did I do it with Cross? I don't know.
I
if it
am
was
Cross one.
I don't know if it was Cross, but let me finish my story though. I ordered freestyle session 5, and this is when the internet was all, you know, young and everything. So it took forever to get to my house. I used to go to our house. I used to go to the mail every day checking for that hoe, man. And then finally it came one day, and then I saw the first battle between Havocoro and Style Elements. I was like, oh my god, it changed my life. I said, oh, these dudes are from Houston? Ooh! And then that's when I found YA and everything, and then history, baby.
So you saw that before
20 years later.
before you even knew Moy.
I saw that before I even knew Moy and everything, man. That's crazy, man.
I remember those days.
It goes back to, like I said, those moments.
AOL
like,
Instant Messenger.
like how special things are, you know, like you don't realize like how like that was super special to me. Like I still remember opening up that package and popping that tape in the VCR, dude. That's such a special moment for me.
Now, do you remember when you first searched that on YouTube?
What?
I don't know.
Sure,
Like
sure.
that's the equivalent of it nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Man, I remember.
I remember when I first.
When I first clicked on YouTube and I searched up Silverback top 10.
Oh man, that's funny, man.
Man, I was hooked.
And then
From
another
that moment.
one of my favorite freestyle session moments is on the boat when I know people are probably gonna think when we battled Rocksteady Crew, but it's not. Shout out to Rocksteady Crew though, because we battled y'all. It was a good battle. It was when this is how much a geek I am for this. He did this top rock step, and it was so crazy, dude.
Who?
K-Mel.
Oh.
Like he did this like little shoulder thing, man, and it was like the illest thing ever and everything. You know what I'm saying? And then he shot himself in the head, and then went
Yeah,
to
I remember.
halos and everything.
I
man.
remember that
It's
round.
a classic round, bro.
Yep, and there's no formula to that round.
There's no formula to that round, bro. That oh my god.
And if you
that's
look at
such
that,
an
there was no
amazing
formula
round,
to
bro.
that jam. It went left. It
Bro.
went left, like they had to hold it on a boat last minute. But look, like that was the moment, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like that ever exists, you know?
Dang, that was a dope jam, man. It got moved to Queen Mary and everything. Were you there?
No, I wasn't even dancing. That was a year before I started dancing. It was
Are you serious?
2003, 2004, right?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, man.
But that says a lot about, I always use that as an example, like, Have a Choral story. Like, y'all battled Rocksteady Crew, the pinnacle of real breaking.
Yeah.
And at the end, Marlon was arguing with Technique to be called real B-boys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I've always used that as like a defining moment in what lies in the foundation of us as dancers, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like seeking validation. Like we are in Texas, deep in the South, far away from the East Coast and the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know, and we pretty much put Texas on the map. So we exist as our own like
Yeah.
Rocksteady of the South, but you know, obviously not as big
Yeah.
as in the term of like real hip hop and culture on the East Coast and the West Coast, style elements on the West, you know, and the whole scene on the West and the whole scene on the East, which can include Florida, you know.
Yeah.
But Texas is just Texas in the middle,
Yeah.
writing their own story and going back to even like I remember you used to say this a lot about like the Republic of Texas, like before
Yeah.
Texas was a republic, like it rebelled against the country, you know.
Yeah.
And even like there's a saying here in Texas, like people like I'm one deep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm one deep.
Yeah. That's how we do it.
That's a Houston slang, and
Yeah.
that's how you look at it in our breaking. Even with Have a Choral, like you're pretty much the only one HK with a name, like B-boy name,
Yeah.
Palmer. But
worst
Jeremy,
B-boy name ever.
but Jeremy, Moy,
Yeah.
Zesh, and even his real name, like there's no
Yeah.
fronting, there's no gimmicks. It's just that's what we represent
Dang,
out there.
that Marlon and technique moment was pretty crazy too, because it goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning about like peer respect. Like
That's what he was fighting for.
Marlon wouldn't he's not gonna admit it every day, but at the end of the day, after the battle, he wanted Technique to say, "Hey, y'all are b-boys. I'm a b. Say Have a Choral's b-boys. You have to say it. You have to say it." He kept telling him that. Because deep down inside, I mean, that's a lot of what's driving us, man. Like, you know, like, and that's what I was saying, this hip-hop thing. We take something, we make it better, and then we give it back. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's what he was wanting. Like, he was like, hey, I took what y'all did, I made it a little bit better, and I want you to validate that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's what hurts to me whenever I see, like, Legs vote, like, negative 22% on me, man. Because it's just like, dang, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like inside of me, I'm wanting them to say, hey, say I'm a B-boy. Say I'm a B-boy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now, damn, that's just such a crazy moment, too, man. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but I think it's defining, and I think it still carries true, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, people like Have a Choral, and even though Have a Choral isn't what it was back in the day, and it's not expected to be, and it's changed, there's still that foundation of it remains, and even if someone like Moore, who doesn't represent Have a Choral anymore, or John, who doesn't represent Have a Choral, they still think about that essence,
Yeah.
and we still carry that, you know?
Yeah.
So a good way to end it, I think, is to provide like a short message to the youth and like your message for upcoming artists.
Yeah.
And how would you like encapsulate what it is to be a b-boy and what you view a b-boy as to somebody who's coming up, and some advice to them? Now, mind you, if you're trying to win, don't listen to this. But if you're trying to be an artiste,
Here, hold on. I think I got something in my notes about this.
pull it up. Yeah, disclaimer.
Yeah.
You're trying to be a breakdance champion, don't listen to this, man. But if you're trying to be an artist, on a serious note, if you're trying to be, and this is my view, like, before you say this, if I can give you my breakdown and my view of you, being your little brother, and, like, learning under you and absorbing what you've taught me, is that we put the art first.
It's far more of an art than a sport. It's a form of expression, okay? And it's like that, man. You can't. I don't want to read this word for word and everything, man, but
Do it.
nah, man. All right, so the best way to step outside convention is to make sure you're not trying to beat other people at their game, but creating a new playing field. It's easy to get caught in pushing the limits in conventional ways, like winning competition and perfecting tricks. But the real innovation comes from combining ideas, collaborating. So you got to know your strengths and play to them. All right, that's my advice to younger b-boys. You know, you got to know your strengths and you got to play to them. You know, you are who you are. You know, you got something that you can bring to the table, and I think that's what drew me into hip hop. You know, because, like, you know, before I got into this, like, you know, I was super into, like, rock music and everything like that. I was, you know, like, really to myself and everything like that, man.
You had
like,
orange bangs.
I had orange bangs. I was really, really shy and everything, you know, textbook, you know, story, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then, you know, it showed me that I could be who I was, and there was something special about that, you know? And I'm so glad I found it, and I hope people take that journey too, you know? I hope they dig deep, because there's something special in there that you can offer to somebody, and it's going to inspire them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could add to that, I would say don't get caught up in the glamour, you know, in the glory of things.
Yeah.
And it's easy too nowadays with social media and trying to chase championships and things like that. But even from someone who's deep into it, like I'm deep into the competitive, and you are too, you know.
Yeah.
But I get caught up in that. In the moments where I get caught up in that, I lose right away.
Yeah.
I lose from the get-go. So the moment you start wanting, like, this is gonna sound wrong, but the moment you start wanting to win, you lose already. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that that you shouldn't want to win. But from the get-go, whenever you have genuine wants, like, that's your number one thing. Like, it's before anything else.
Yeah.
You lose already. And that's happened to me. And even if I won a competition, I still, you know, can look in retrospect and be like, that I took an L, you know?
Yeah.
Not even artistically, but just spiritually, you know? And I think if you're coming into this, don't play into narratives. Don't play into narratives. And this is even for people who are outside of breaking. Don't play into narratives. Don't try and fit the bill.
Yeah.
You know, listen to what the people close to you have to say, and listen to people who you look up to and that you feel are genuine and are heartfelt. But at the end of the day, take that and, like he said, apply it to what's special inside of you.
Yeah.
You have something to say that nobody else can say.
Zeshan told me the story that he heard somebody else tell him about what Ken Swift said, and it hit me pretty hard too. And he was like, and tell me if you've ever felt this feeling too. It's like, you ever been in a cipher and you're about to go in, and it's almost like diving off a cliff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna do it. All right, here I go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you take that dive, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I want people to be able to do that, like, you know what I'm saying, but dive into themselves and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what it is. It's about having faith in yourself. You know, you take that dive. You're like, yeah, this is who I am, and I believe in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can see it a lot too when people dance too, man. Like, you know, they don't have that faith in themselves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like super, you know, super hard on what you're doing and everything, but it's like, you know, it looks like you don't have that faith in you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like, and you can tell right away and everything. You can't, you know, you can't keep that a secret. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to do that. I understand, but like,
you got to take that dive, man, because there's rewards in that.
Yeah.
There's big rewards.
And going off of that too, I think more specifically, like, get specific with skills is like, I think you should dive into the music first.
Yes.
Going back to approach, and I could break it down this way too. Is sometimes when I see people go out, I feel like they're doing their moves besides the music. Like if the music were something tangible and you could see it, this is the dancer, and then the music is right here. And for me, that's somebody who I would consider not musical, you know. And then there's dancers who are one with the music, who dive straight into it.
Yeah.
So from the moment they come out, it's, boom, I'm with it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean starting your round, like starting with top rock right away or hitting the boom right away. It's just you can tell, you can look at their face.
Yeah.
Something changes, you know.
Yeah.
And I can look at my rounds where I just ran moves, you know.
Yeah.
And I can look at my rounds where I was in the zone, so.
It's a big difference, and you could tell too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
There was no reward in running your moves, was there?
Took that L right away.
Took that L real quick.
Yo, so thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Let's go home.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to dance in our garage.
Yes, sir.
Probably right when we get home. And yeah, tune in to lunch breaks every day, IG Live.
Yes,
That's
sir.
where we're a little more playful, have fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll be back on the podcast again.
Yes, sir.
Episode number 5. Get your gifts
Thank
and
you.
get out of here. Appreciate y'all.